Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another fantastic episode on the Unleashing Potentials podcast. My name is Bernadette Desir, and I'm your host. And joining me today is beautiful Samantha Campbell. How are you?
I am good. I'm so happy to be on this platform.
Mhm.
Hello, everyone. Can't wait to see how I could just
Mhm.
share my story to be and healing to everybody else.
Yeah, I'm so excited you're here. You were telling me that your husband has been on the podcast, and now you're on the podcast. I'm just so honored that he referred you. It means a lot just to have both of you on the podcast.
Yeah. So my husband and I were on a mission to just share our story to empower others. We actually wrote a book called Our Life Journey. We wrote it together just to empower people, to motivate people,
Mm.
because we realized that our story is not ours. And it's good to just be able to be a blessing to other people. So
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So where about are you tuning in from?
I'm from Canada, Ontario, Canada.
Oh,
And
okay.
it hasn't gotten cold yet, but it's there. The coldness is seeping in a little bit.
Yeah, I'm in Canada too. I'm in Alberta.
Oh, even worse in terms
Oh,
of
it is
cold.
worse.
Yeah,
It gets
yeah,
pretty cold here. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so Samantha, to start, can you tell us more about you and the work that you've been doing?
So I I'm a registered psychotherapist,
Hmm.
and outside of that, I'm also educational assistant. So I work with kids with special needs, and I just like to help people to be the better version of themselves. I like to sing and I like to be creative. And outside of doing all that, I am a mother of a toddler. I'm a new mom. So working, navigating life with being a therapist and all of that, just enjoying life however things come.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So much to talk about. So, how is motherhood treating you?
It's been good. It started off rough to just no, I'm not gonna lie, it started off rough, but
Yeah,
I'm just trying to appreciate just being a mother and
yeah,
just um going with the flow of life. Just
yeah.
me being able to teach my son what it is that life has to offer, and not only teaching him, just learning from him as well. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Don't we wish they come with manuals? I
I
do.
am. And even if they try to tell you, like even before birth, that they try to give you these little things to say, okay, do this. It the one size fit all doesn't work. It
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah,
doesn't. So you have to really navigate yourself on your own and try to tap into your support system as well. So
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate everybody who's teaching mothers and, the pregnancy stuff before the kids come or kid.
mhm,
But there's nothing that can prepare us, as they grow up. It's kind
yeah,
of learning experience, kind of learning as you go.
for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And tell me more about your book.
So I recently wrote a book called Tell Your Negative Thoughts Not Now. So this is just a copy of it. I
Oh.
was inspired because I realized that we all have negative thoughts.
Mhm.
Whether we want to acknowledge it or deny it, we all have negative thoughts. And it's something that I have seen that has been affecting everybody. Myself, as I said, I'm a registered psychotherapist, but it
Mhm.
it hasn't all been fun and games for me in terms of my thoughts. And I had to really pay attention to my thoughts and my feelings for me to actually realize that I need to stop thinking, engaging in unhelpful thinking styles to be able to have a more positive way of um,
Mhm.
life. So I wrote this book. It's actually a devotional. I just coming from the perspective of the Bible. Like a lot of the times we don't talk about mental illness, even in the churches, because we feel like, oh, you can just pray about it,
Mhm.
and things will be okay. Um, or sometimes we have the blame game that, oh, you might have done something wrong, that is why you're experiencing certain negative thoughts or something like that. So I wrote the book in that perspective to help persons to realize that no matter their belief, no matter their cultural background, you can be loved and accepted. You just have to be educated about what you're going through, and acknowledge it and be able to um, find help, because help is out there.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much, so I tackle different challenging topics like guilt and religious guilt, or just anxiety, stress, and
Mhm.
things like that. And I try to make it interactive because I know that persons, not a lot of people, I share my own story as well in the book, and I'm trying to make it as a resource manual for persons to be able to rely.
Mm, I love that. So much to unpack there. And your book, it sounds like a power punch. Meaning, when you read it, you not only can reflect, but you can gain wisdom from it as well.
Right. So
Yeah.
throughout the book, as I said, I have different like tools for persons to engage, whether they're writing or just to reflect on certain art pieces or things like that, to
Mhm.
just be practical about it. Like, yes, it's hard enough that you're going through certain um, illness, like for maybe anxiety or depression, but to actually get the resources to help you to go through it, um,
Mhm.
I thought that would be helpful as well. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. You mentioned, did you write the book with your husband?
So no, the first book that, so I have two books out. So the first book I wrote with my husband. The first book is called Our Life Journey, the past, the present, and the future. So in
Mhm.
that book, I also explain my story about just my journey of mental illness, and just my my story about just what love means to me, and my husband's perspective on what marriage is. And we both like to encourage young people as well. So we have a section where it focus on
Mhm.
just motivating young people, and a
Mhm.
section on poetry. So it's that first book was just like a motivational book for person to um, be encouraged. And then
Mhm.
this book now is just helping others to tell your negative thoughts not now. Don't engage, don't um, label yourself, but empower yourself and find that sense of resilience through whatever you're going
Yeah, you guys are a power couple.
through.
Um, if I may ask, how long have you guys been together? How did you meet? And how do you continue to grow as a power couple?
So it's been last month we celebrated our 8th anniversary. So we actually met through a mutual friend. So it's we weren't interested at the moment. We literally we're trying to, I was in focusing on, because I had just graduated my undergrad, and I was just focusing on trying to find a job. And I was just trying to get in my headspace. He was doing something else. But then we both had the same friends, and they're like, you guys should give it a try. And it was a long distance. So even with us calling each other the first time we started talking, we still weren't interested. But what caught my attention was the fact that um, he had a relationship with God. And at
Mm.
the time, I was wanting that as well. So I'm like, he had mentioned that he was starting up some prayer group and whatever. So I'm like, I'm not wanting to give this guy a try, but I will give prayer a chance.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, let's see where this goes. And
Mhm.
so we started engaging through conversation and just talking about
Mhm.
um our 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 commonality with just wanting to be
Yeah.
have finding that strength in God and prayer and all of that. And then the conversation kind of like grew. So I would say the one thing that kind of like motivated us throughout life is just having that sense of um prayer, prayer and the constant communication and
Mhm.
the motivation that we have between both of us. So we will try to find ways to elevate each other, to encourage each other to.
Yeah.
So he sees my strength, I see his strength, and we try to look at our weakness and try to
Mhm.
overcome those weakness with through prayer.
Mm.
So that's kind of how it kind of developed, just
Yeah.
prayer and just
Mm.
of course the other things. We all have a list. I had a list in my mind of certain things that I was looking for in a guy, but that was just the number one thing that kind of like highlighted. And then we obviously found out that we had that commonality in terms of um, just trying to that that thing about wanting to relate to young people and trying
Mm.
to just educate persons and motivate them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's pretty much it.
Oh, that's awesome. And when you guys were writing the first book, what was the process like for you? Did you guys pick a different section and topic and kind of combine it? Did you argue over it?
Yeah, we kind of did. The main fact about starting the book, he saw my potential because at the time, I was doing my master's when we started. So, and he was helping me through doing my master's as well. So he will stay up on the phone and help me to complete my assignments and whatever.
Mhm.
So he saw this potential in me that he saw that I'm a writer. And if I was able to describe certain things, I would just use a lot of words to expound and do all of that. So he told me, "Oh, we should write a book together." I'm like, "You will be writing that book by
Yeah.
yourself." So I kind of gave the thought. I shut down the thought. So he started writing the manuscript and then he showed it to me. And then I'm like, this guy is serious. So I'm like, okay, I see he has potential. So that's when the topic kind of developed. So he worked on his section. So you will see in the book there's different section that he wrote, different section that we wrote together, and different section that I wrote. So I will write my story, he will write his. So there and then we kind of like reasoned out what are some of the topics that's kind of like affecting people nowadays days. And then we kind of decide on that. And then even the color of the book and everything, it was kind of like a challenge back and forth what to do. But
Yeah.
we kind of eventually settled down to kind of like um, come to a decision in terms of what to do.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
a process, but we were able to complete it before we got married.
Yeah.
And so that was like a big thing. So we wrote it while we were dating. So that
Yeah.
was kind of
Yeah.
something that kind of encouraged us to like, you know,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. So let's say I pick up both of your books, and what would you want me to get from it?
Um, One, the story of resilience. So knowing that we all might go through different challenges in life, but that does not keep you does your challenge you don't your challenge does not define you,
Mm.
so you can overcome your challenges.
Yeah.
um you just have to have the right support system.
Mm.
You Everybody deserve a voice in life.
Yeah.
You just have to dig deep in yourself to
Mm.
realize who you are and what's your purpose. So when we write our books, we put ourselves out there to kind of help persons to to better be able to better relate to people. And we also want to inspire people to not to stay in the way they think and the way they act, but to want to see change within themselves. So it's we try to write to motivate, really.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, that's awesome. You said you're a registered psychotherapist.
Yes.
What is that for those who don't know what it is? And what do you do and how do you do it?
So basically, it's another version of counseling. So it's a more in-depth way of approaching persons to help person to regulate their thoughts, their emotions, and just helping people to get a better perspective in life. So I work with clients who have mental illness, as well as I work with persons who are just um, dealing with life challenges, whether it be transitioning from um, adulthood into being a student to emerging adult, going from a teen to just dealing with life challenges like that, dealing with trauma and finding ways to navigate it. So I provide psychoeducation and I provide resources to persons to help them to better um, monitor themselves in terms of how they think and how they react in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. So you work with everybody or just kids and preteens?
So I currently work with everybody, but my main focus is working with teens and early adults
Mm-hmm.
because I have that. I feel that I relate to them more, and I feel I have a lot to offer them. But I work with the general public, but mostly early emerging adults and teens.
Okay. Can you tell us how do you relate to them? Was it something in your childhood or something you learned working with them?
So for me, I migrated from Jamaica to Canada. So that for me was like a big stressor. Like I experienced at the time, I didn't know that I was experiencing depression. I was experiencing so much just loneliness, just trying to navigate the school system. I felt that the school system for me was unfair because just them, for example, them telling me like I'm coming from another country where I learned one way, and then they were telling me that my way of learning was not the right way. And one of the thing that traumatized me was they put me in a class telling me that I don't understand English when I'm coming from a country I speak English, right? So that kind of like
Yeah.
slowed down my process. They put me in ESL, and I felt that there wasn't anybody advocating. Like my parents, I came up to live with my dad, and he wasn't really advocating for me in terms of the way I learn. So I made it a point of duty to be able to um,
Mhm.
advocate for persons dealing with migration and how to navigate the school system and be able to advocate for yourself, knowing that there's different way of learning. We all have different learning styles, and
Mhm.
you shouldn't just um, bombard people with the way how you think they should
Mhm.
live. So that's one. And just as I said, just dealing with depression, just leaving my mom and my family and just coming, integrating into a new family and just dealing with the different changes of season and all of that. So
Yeah.
just everything was just all brought on me in that one setting. And I wasn't sure what was going on. Everybody was telling me, oh, you should smile. I'm like, smile about what? I don't know what to smile about, right? So just navigating all of that and me finding my footing, volunteering, working with young women at the time in my community
Mhm.
in an at risk neighborhood. I
Mhm.
was working with young girls who they were looked down on. It's
Mhm.
like because they're in this environment, persons um,
Mhm.
didn't want to work with them. So with working with them, I realized the different struggles that they experience in school. Just see whether it be teachers being unfair with them, or just navigating bullying and just them dealing with different family issues at home and having to deal with that pressure while at the same time going to school. So
Yeah.
I feel like I was able to listen to them,
Mhm.
hear their concerns, and be able to, they kind of propel me to do my master's to wanting to find ways to help them a little bit further besides from just helping them with their schoolwork and different issues with bullying, I wanted to help them in a little bit deeper with just navigating, having them find their self-worth and
Mhm.
giving them tools to equip themselves to be more confident and all of that.
Yeah.
So that's why I say I'm able to relate to them a little bit more because dealing with just life transition with school,
Mhm.
um, family, and all the different issues that young people deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah, 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 I love that. You're such a beautiful soul, full of love and authenticity, and the way you share your story and the way you choose to help those who need it the most. I thank you. Yeah, yeah. And I think we have that in common that, I came from Haiti. And you're right that it's so traumatic. It's not something you get rid of right away.
Mhm.
Sometimes it takes decades or a few months or a few years. It all depends on the support system you have. The
Right.
school is different, the language is different, the way they teach is different, and looking different, being different. It,
Exactly.
it's traumatic. And I think
Social
at times
changes.
yeah, it's a type of trauma that we at times ignore unless we've experienced it.
Yes.
Yeah,
And that
yeah,
is why I want to educate persons that you need to understand exactly what you're going through in order for you to overcome certain things. Because, as you rightly said, you tend to avoid it because nobody's talking about it, right? Or persons are not sharing their stories, so you don't have anything to rely on.
yeah.
So it's hard to navigate the system the way that you would like. So you
Mhm.
tend to see that young persons are just not being interested in school or they
Mhm.
are withdrawn because of their whole experience. It could be trauma is big, and the more you ignore it, the more deep you become involved in that trauma. And that is why I try to advocate for mental health and
Mhm.
that it's important to address exactly what you're experiencing.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for advocating for mental health. And I know there are so many people who are doing that. I'm diagnosed with mental health. I'm no saint. I'm sane and not sane. And
Mhm.
for me, there was and is guilt, right? And a lot of shame
Right.
of what I have, why I have it. I'm like, why is it just me? But I know secretly it's not just me.
Mhm.
It it's me because I choose to say something about it. But there are other people who are suffering in silence. They don't do anything, they don't ask for help. And I think the less help we ask, the more we ignore those issues, we're feeding them. They're
Mhm.
getting bigger. That's why people just explode. At times we don't know why, but they do. We don't know why.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some triggers and signs that, people should look for, whether it's in kids or adults or loved ones, so they can better help and support people?
So just being withdrawn. Like normally if a person is not behaving the way they would normally, if
Mhm.
they're jovial and they're all of a sudden they just shut down, they're not wanting to engage in different activities. So that's just one sign. Just some people can withdraw, or on the other side, you will find certain people they're just overly involved because you could be dealing with grief or anxiety or whatever, and you deal with it differently. So you have to watch how the different changes you're going through. It's either you're over involved or you're under involved. So that just triggers of like change in appetite. So are you sleeping too much or you're not sleeping at all? So and your mood and how you express yourself. So are you constantly thinking negative about certain situation? Are you thinking negative about yourself, or are you um,
Mhm.
taking on this negativity and you're putting it on to others? So trying to test in the way of how you think, and just those are the different signs. There's deeper signs, but just focusing more on how you present yourself as a person. So if you are I always say listen to your body. If you're for me, I my story is that I just withdrawn. I didn't want to talk to anybody. My for me as a young person migrating, my grades kind of like decreased. I was coming from a country where I was getting A's and I went all the way from A's to F. So just seeing those changing patterns. So changing patterns in terms of your mental health, your physical health, and your general health so because it's all holistic. So different changes. So just paying attention to different changes in everyday routine, I
Yeah.
would say
Yeah.
would be triggers.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing. I also withdraw. It's like I don't want part of it. I'm just keeping to myself, and that's how it's gonna be. But it's not always healthy to withdraw, even though there are a healthy aspect to it.
Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of things, a lot of times we tend to give into avoidance because we think, okay, it's like the band-aid effect. If we avoid certain situation, it will help us, but it will only help us within the short term. But in the long term of life, it's not really beneficial, right? So it's good to win over avoidance and really um, be willing to be vulnerable. Not everybody can do it because the way I became vulnerable is through writing. And that is why I write books because I realized that I wasn't able to speak. I felt that um, I wasn't able to speak clearly. I was thinking negative of myself, but I was able to find an outlet for myself in writing. I was able to, and another outlet that I found was drawing. Sometimes I would just draw out how I felt, and then somebody will see my drawing and they'll be like, I didn't know that's how you feel. And then I'll get that outlet to be able to express exactly how I would feel. So I definitely encourage person to find an outlet that you feel comfortable with and stick to that outlet to be able to tell your story. So whether it be poetry, whether it be whatever it is, just don't feel like you're alone. There's always something that you can tap into to express yourself and tell your story. And that will eventually make you be vulnerable enough to be able to either educate yourself or reach out for resources to be able to equip you to be a better you.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I think sometimes people question themselves and their capabilities of what they can achieve and do. I mean, in an expressive way. Like you just mentioned, you write, and you know what I mean? I paint, but I didn't always like to do it because my painting wasn't looking like the other painters.
Mm-hmm.
And it took time for me to say, I'm not them. This is me. This is how I choose to show up and express myself. What would you say to people who are good at things, but doubt themselves and they give up on it and they don't try it again? How can they retry and continue to do what they love?
just re- just look within yourself and see why you started it in the first place, right? So there has to be something that had prompted you to start what it is that you love. And another thing is just when you're doing things that you love, you want to think about how it in the long run, how would it affect you in 5 years time or whatever? How would it make you feel? So when you're painting or if you're singing, how does it make you think, feel, and act? So that's one point you can kind of like encourage yourself that way. So if you're reflecting and you're saying, you know what, when I'm painting, it really relaxes my mind. It allows me to get into that zone where I don't feel bothered. I just feel calm and all of that. So that's your thinking. And then you tap into how you feel. How does it really make me feel? And how does it make me act? So by you thinking and reflecting on all those 3 points, it allows you to say, hey, this is something that I really enjoy doing. And also, you might be doing it, as you said, the painting, you saw that not everybody, it didn't look like anybody else, but you don't know it's based on interpretation. Your painting could inspire other person. Just like my story, whatever I write, it's not for me per se. It's not for me to say I write this and it's to encourage me. Yes, in the process it encourages me,
Yeah.
but it's for persons to read to find encouragement. So your painting, your drawing, your singing could be an outlet for other persons. So if you look at it like that, so it's you take the attention off you for a little bit and see how it can be a source or resource for other people. But sometimes when you put it that way, you be like, oh, it's not for me anymore. It's for me trying to help other people. Then you will be more invested into the work that you're doing. You will enjoy it more because you're realizing that it's beneficial not to only to yourself, but to other persons, making a difference to other people as well.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing. Let's talk about our thoughts. I was
Mm-hmm.
saving that one because it's so complex. My thoughts at times they're like popcorn.
Definitely.
Right? They're all over the place. They're so loud and sometimes chaotic. I just let them be, and at times I don't do anything about them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Tell us your own opinion and perspective on the power of the mind and our thoughts and how it impacts our everyday lives.
Right. So our thoughts can be debilitating. So the more we invest in it, so um like we're natural warriors. It all depends on our personality, but we don't have to give in to it. So in our way of thinking, um, we we don't want to harm ourselves more. That is why I always say listen to your body. So if you feel like you're going down a way where you're constantly worrying, you have to at some points tell your negative thoughts, not now, because you realizing that it's becoming a habit. So we want to not engage in habits, but engage in things that will help us. So for us to overcome our negative thoughts, we have to actually identify what kind of thoughts we're thinking, right? So,
Mhm.
and where is our thoughts coming from? Sometimes we're thinking certain things because other people has embedded in our mind to think that way. So whether it be throughout our lives, people are saying, "Oh, you're not good enough," or
Mm.
"You're not special," or whatever. So we have to identify where is this negativity coming from? Is it that we're telling ourselves this, or is it that other persons are telling us to do certain things? So
Yeah.
first we have to identify where it is that our negative thoughts are coming from and realize what it is that we want to do with it. Do we want it to continue to take over our mind and
Mm.
prevent us from eating or sleeping well? I always give person this acronym HALT. It stands for hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Sometimes we go through life and we don't realize that we're experiencing certain things.
Yeah.
So we might lash out at people and not realize that, in a sense, we're actually hungry and we are not feeding ourselves physically, right?
Yeah.
And angry. Sometimes we get angry by triggers of how people talk to us,
Yeah.
or we might get angry by the ruminating thoughts that we have, unresolved thoughts that we have not dealt with. So sometimes people think that we get angry because of a behavior wise, but it can be just the thoughts of how we're thinking.
Yeah.
And then loneliness is a big one in a sense that we might have people around us and we still feel lonely. Loneliness could be that persons are not around us and we are just feeling lonely. And then tired could be ruminating thoughts. You're constantly worrying about different things. And because of that, contributes to your tiredness. It could be just a health thing where you're anemic or whatever it means. So
Mm.
it pausing and reflecting on those different things throughout your day can help with your unhelpful thinking styles. So
Yeah.
it's not a it's a process that you have to go through to be able to um, properly navigate your way of thinking. So it all comes to just acknowledging it first, what exactly that you're going through.
Yeah, 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 I agree. And sometimes it goes so deep that we need help to reach out of the knotted mess that we're thinking.
Hmm.
For me, it goes back through generational trauma,
Yes, for
historic
sure.
trauma, trauma of when I was a kid. And it's so hard and so knotted. Sometimes we need help. I need help at times because I think our childhood, it impacts us in ways that we don't recognize at times, and it changes us. And it changes us and it prevents us from becoming who we're supposed to be. Would you agree?
Yes, for sure. Because if you're constantly in your mind thinking about um, what people are telling you that you're supposed to be, like living up to person's expectations, then you're gonna think of yourself as a failure, or you're gonna think of yourself not good enough.
Hmm.
Um, and if you do that, you miss out on what you could have become,
Yeah.
right? So, like for me, if for my example, if I was supposed to stay in that frame of thought about like yes, I've transitioned from Jamaica to Canada and I'm going through so much struggles. And if I was supposed to say these struggles are rough and I feel left out and abandoned, then I would have just give up. But if just changing my perspective of how I think, I realize that there's more to the negative thoughts. There's more to the what people are labeling me as. So if you look at it as, why not do the opposite of what people are saying? Why not do the opposite of how you're feeling? Then it makes you a little bit better,
Yeah.
right? So I just say to try to self-talk yourself. It's not easy, but it's a good approach to do, to just try to shut down the negativity and invest in the positive way of thinking.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. My other question for you, what does your faith mean to you, and how has it carried you through life and up to now?
Um, my faith means a lot because I feel like a lot of times when I felt like tapping out,
Mhm.
that's what allowed me to bounce back. So I would kind of reflect on different motivational like scriptures or
Mhm.
just songs like hymns that kind of like gave me that motivation to keep on going.
Yeah.
Like for example, like I was I was doing my master's and just a month before
Mhm.
completing my master's, I had a mental breakdown where for months, I wasn't able to graduate. I was like physically not able to go to church or not able to go to work or whatever. And I thought that was it. I was like, what is the point of me living anymore? What is the point? I've worked so hard. I felt like I'm well involved in church. I'm always doing this and I was doing that. So why is it that all of a sudden this kind of came down on me? So in that moment, um, I was kind of stopping my track to realize that it's nothing that you have done, but it's just that time that you need to slow down to realize who's giving you life really, and
Yeah.
what it is that by reflecting on what you're capable of doing, um, just being able to be encouraged like that. So
Yeah.
I've always um, my faith in a sense, I've always trusted in God because he's always um, just made me feel that I'm important and
Yeah.
I'm valuable.
Yeah.
So all of what I've gone through is just preparing me to be a better person and
Mhm.
preparing me to help others.
Yeah.
So just helping me to look at life like that. Um,
Mhm.
just realizing that my struggles is just to elevate other people.
Mm,
So I really, in my midst of distress, I saw that I was able to, through prayer and through just relying on God, I realized that there's no there's nobody else. Um, he's the one that's able to let me know that I was born with a sound mind. And it's just because of certain situations and circumstances that kind of affected the way I approach life. So whether it be certain stresses of life that's kind of like been brought on to me, that's kind of debilitating. And I don't have to continue to live in life like that. There's more
mm,
to life than my mental illness or different stressors. So that's how my faith has kind of encouraged me, just knowing that I'm worth living for.
mm. Oh, I love that. I love that so much. As you were describing and sharing, I visualized and saw an anchor, in the midst of a storm and having an anchor to hold on to.
Hmm.
When you were talking about your faith. It reminds me of when Jesus was walking on water, rescuing Peter, I think.
Yes.
I just visualized and saw that. I thought I'd share and let you know what I was thinking and seeing. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and then you saying anchor, we need that anchor. And
yeah,
just going to talking about self-care, sometimes we look to persons for support, and
yeah.
even our own support system might not even be a support system because it's just the way of how we see certain things. So we need
Yeah,
to find an anchor and pray to seek that those right outlets, so the right person to talk to and the right
yeah,
outlets to tap into so that we can find that motivation to move forward. So in life, we can't go through it on our own. We need that support
yeah,
to keep going.
yeah, I agree. Since you have your book with you, is there anything in there you'd like to share with us?
Um,
Is there
Autobiography,
poetry in there?
pardon?
Is there poetry in there? Because I write poetry. I love poetry. I
Yeah,
love
there's
it.
poetry in there. There's like there's this part that I am not okay. Like I was inspired to, because there's so many things, like we tend to wear this mask, especially as a black woman. We present ourselves as strong, the strong person, and eventually it's like, where are we getting that strength from? And when there's no strength anymore, where is that support, right? So I was inspired to really write that, to say that it's okay to take off the mask and say, I am not okay, right? So I will read that, um, just to show that it's always useful to admit and be vulnerable and acknowledge exactly what you're going through, so that you're able to overcome certain things. So it's called I Am Not Okay. I am not okay. I'm expected to keep silence because I'm black. I am not okay. I am told to stay in my lane, or I am expected to be seen and not heard. I am not okay. People seem offended by my qualifications, and sometimes they expect too much or too little. I am not okay. I find it hard to receive or ask for help. I am not okay. It sometimes feels weird to hear or say, I love you. I am not okay. Sometimes I don't know what it means to relax. I feel guilty for taking a break. I am not okay. I have the slavery mentality of independent women. It is my duty to take care of myself and my family. I am not okay. I cry in private or laugh through my pain. I am not okay. I am uncomfortable with compliments. I laugh because I sometimes tend to think I am not good enough. I am not okay. So um toward the end of this, it's I just write, it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to unmask. I will gradually remove my mask as I get more comfortable with saying I am not okay. To truly reveal who I am, I will believe in who God says I am. I can be confident with who God made me to be. So just this quote by Cheryl Richardson: people start to heal the moment they feel hurt. And that is what I try to encourage people, just share your story. Once you're heard, you'll feel the difference in just telling
Yeah.
people what it is. It's not going to be comfortable, but sometimes you have to come out of your comfort zone in
Mhm.
order to experience healing.
Yeah. Ooh, thank you for sharing. Thank you so much. I love that. Every time you said in there, I am not okay, something, it's like something was surfacing for me. And I hope it did the same for people who's watching and listening. Just that statement alone has power in it, even
Mhm.
though some people may see it as negative, saying, I'm not okay. Is,
Mhm.
it's acknowledging that it's okay not to be okay, like you said. I love
Yeah.
that poem. It not only spoke to me as a Black woman, and I know it's going to speak to everybody that
Mhm.
you're interacting with, working with, and people who are listening and watching. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
yeah, yeah. I know that we're running out of time soon. I wanted to give you the floor to share anything else that we did not talk about that you'd like to share with us.
Just sometimes we go through life, we're not sure what's going on with ourselves. So I would like to just encourage persons to just always be attuned to themselves. Just
Mhm,
pay attention to your body, pay attention to your thoughts. Don't let persons define who you are.
yeah,
Listen to your body.
mhm,
Command the right spirit for your day. So don't allow your day to dictate you. You dictate your day,
mhm,
um, and uh, and acknowledge what you're in control of. We can't control everything, but there's certain things that we're in control of in terms of our thoughts and different things that affect us. So just identify that,
mhm.
and just find support is out there, find that support system. Just pray about it and
Mhm.
yeah, be encouraged that you are valuable and you are important no matter what person say, and you can overcome your negative thoughts
Yeah, I
by
love that.
just
Thank you.
listening to yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. I have two questions for you as we wrap up. The first one is, what is the meaning of life for you?
Um, that's a deep question. What is the meaning of life? Life is something that we have to appreciate if we
Yeah.
only live one life. So
Mhm,
the way I look at it is you make the best out of it.
mhm,
So life can throw you its ups and down, but it's what are you gonna do with it while you're living, right? You either um suppress your feelings or you express them. So to me, I find life as valuable and important just to not only live for yourself, but live for others as well. So in terms of appreciating life, just think
mhm.
about um, what it is that you have to offer. What is it that you have been blessed with, and how can you be a blessing based on what you have um, been able to attain in life. So that's really how I look at life. It's a blessing, and because it's a blessing, we need to treat it as something that's important.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Thank you. My last question for you is, where can my listeners find you? And where can they get your books?
Okay, so you guys could follow me on Instagram. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. You can follow me on Instagram at SAM, so Sam underscore CMCS.
Mhm,
I do have my website, Creating Meaningful Counseling Services. So you can look up Creating Meaningful Counseling Services, SamanthaCampbell.org. I'm on Facebook under Samantha Donaldson Campbell, and I'm also on Facebook on my business Facebook under Creating Meaningful Counseling Services.
mhm,
I am on LinkedIn as Samantha Campbell. I'm all over the place. Just type in my name, or as I said, type in Creating Meaningful Counseling Service. You can find my books on Amazon. The first book that I wrote with my husband is on all platforms, Amazon
mhm,
and all like all the different book platforms, but the latest one that I wrote is it's self-authored, so it's self-published, so it's only on Amazon, but it can be in the form of a ebook, or you can just purchase the a copy. And
Hmm.
yeah, and I'm currently doing a mental health workshop specifically for schools and churches, just to spread the awareness about mental health and why is it important. Just kind of like starting the education piece, because people, the Bible says people perish for the lack of knowledge, and because we're not aware of certain things, we tend to either avoid, or we we feel like we don't deserve help because we don't know what's going on. So I'm in the process of just spreading that awareness, especially within the community, the Black culture, especially. So that's pretty much who I am and what I'm doing now. So
Yeah,
yeah,
awesome. Well, Samantha, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing your gifts, your wisdom, and just your experience on the podcast. Keep doing the amazing that work that you're doing, because the world needs to hear your story, your passion, and impact. So thank you.
thank you for the opportunity to share my story, and just being able to, for you to share your story as well, being vulnerable, and having this platform to support others as well. So
Yeah,
I really commend you on the work that you're doing as well.
thank you. Thank you so much.